Welcome back, learners! In this video, we are going to address one of the comments from our viewers, Nika Yanes. She says, "Can you please make a video about integers? I like how you explain the topics on math. It is easy to understand." Thank you, Nika Yanes, for such a nice comment. The Math Etc. channel hearts you so much. And to all who are watching, please click subscribe to learn more from our future videos. Thank you! There are many topics under integers, but for this video, we will feature addition and subtraction of integers using the number line. Integers can be positive, they can be negative, and it could be the number 0. Positive integers are found at the right of 0, and negative integers are found at the left of 0. So if this is where our 0 is, at the right we have the positive numbers 1, 2, 3, and so on. And at the left of 0, we have negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, and so on. And since the integers are arranged in ascending order, we can say that 10 is or has a higher value than 7, right? Obviously. But we can also say that 3 has a higher value than negative 10. Right? And we can also say that 0 has a higher value than negative 2. Let us now use the number line to add and subtract integers. In this topic, let us remember that when we add a positive integer, we will move to the right. And when we add a negative integer, we will move to the left. Just like here in our first example, 2 plus 4, we're adding a positive 4, right? So we will move to the right from the positive. But anyway, I think everyone knows the answer to this, right? 2 plus 4 should be 6. But how do we show that answer using the number? So from the number 2, we will make 4 steps to the right. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And we see that we landed at the number 6. And for this next example, 5 plus 2, we start at the positive 5 and move 2 steps to the right. 1, 2. And we landed at 7. Obviously, 5 plus 2 is 7. And now for 1 plus 3, we start at positive 1 and make 3 moves to the right, and then we land at 4. Now, what conclusion can we give from our first 3 examples? 2 plus 4, a positive 2 plus a positive 4 is a positive 6. A positive 5 plus a positive 2 is a positive 7. And a positive 1 plus a positive 3 is a positive 4. What conclusion can you give? That's right. We can say that the sum of positive integers is also positive. And we can now apply that idea to bigger numbers, bigger integers, right? Just like this. If we're going to add 120 and 35, both are positive, then the answer is 155, a positive integer, 155. Another example could be 318. You add this to another positive number, 37. Therefore, the sum is a positive 355. And other bigger numbers, you can apply this idea here, that the sum of positive integers is positive. Now, let's do addition of integers that are both negative. So, using our number line here, since we're adding negative 6 and negative 4, we start with negative 6, which is here. And since we're adding a negative number, we will take steps to the left. So, in this case, since it's negative 4, 4 steps to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you see that we land on negative 10. And then, for this negative 2 plus negative 5, we have negative 2 and 5 steps to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We land on negative 7. Start thinking of a conclusion. What do you observe? Another example, negative 4 plus negative 1. So we got negative 4 and 1 step to the left. So we land on negative 5. So again, negative 6 plus negative 4 is negative 10. Negative 2 plus negative 5 is negative 7. Negative 4 plus negative 1 is negative 5. So look closely. How do we add two negative numbers or two negative integers? That's right. The sum of negative integers is also negative. And not only that, you just do the normal addition, right? Like negative 6 plus negative 4, we know that 6 and 4 is 10, right? And you just put a negative sign to the sum. Now, we're ready to apply this concept to bigger integers. Like if we have negative 3018 plus negative 27, we will just do normal addition and put a negative sign on our sum. So the answer is negative 3045. Then if we have negative 428 plus negative 710, then the sum is negative 1138. How about if we add positive and negative integers, or vice versa? I mean, what if we add different signed integers? So let us show how to do this using the number line. So as our first example, let us take 8 plus negative 3. So we will start with 8. And since we're adding a negative integer, we will take steps to the left. So negative 3, 3 steps to the left. 1, 2, 3. And we land on a 5. So 8 plus negative 3 is a 5. So try to observe what is happening here, or what could be our shortcut in finding the sum of a positive and a negative integer. Let's have our next example. So here we have negative 6 plus 2. So we start with negative 6. And then we make 2 steps to the right. 1, 2. We land at negative 4. Negative 6 plus a positive 2 is negative 4. Next is 9 plus negative 5. So we start with 9. And since we add a negative integer, we're going to the left 5 steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We land at positive 4. Next, we have negative 5 plus 11. So we start with negative 5 and then we will add a positive 11. So that's 11 steps to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we land at the number 6. So maybe at this point you can think of how do we add a negative and a positive number. Okay, another example, negative 7 plus 3. So on our number line, start with negative 7, 3 steps to the right, 1, 2, 3, and our sum is negative 4. Let's have a recall of our examples. 8 plus negative 3 was a 5, a positive 5. Negative 6 plus 2 is a negative 4. 9 plus negative 5 is a positive 4. Negative 5 plus 11 is a positive 6. And negative 7 plus 3 is a negative 4. Look closely. What pattern do you see? That's right. To get the sum of positive and negative integers, we apply subtraction between the absolute values and we just copy the sign of the bigger one. Absolute values meaning we ignore the signs of the integers, or it is safe to say that we just consider them to be both positive. Okay? Then we just apply subtraction between these two absolute values, and at the end, as our final answer, we copy the sign of the bigger absolute value. So if we go back to our first example here, we have 8 is positive, right? And we are adding it to a negative 3. Since they have different signs, one is positive, the other one is negative, we just get their absolute values and do subtraction. So we have an 8 and a 3. And we know that 8 minus 3 is a 5, right? So what is the sign of this final answer? We go back to the given values here. The 8, which is bigger than 3, is positive. So our answer is a positive 5. Then, for this example number 2, we have negative 6. We are combining it with a positive 2. So again, the signs are different. One is negative, the other one is positive. So let us take their absolute values. We have 6 and 2. So the bigger one, 6, minus the smaller one, 2, is equal to 4, right? But what is the sign of our final answer 4? So we go back here, we see that the bigger absolute value is 6, right? 6, the absolute value 6 is bigger than the absolute value 2. And we see that the original sign of this 6 here is a negative. So we take that sign. So the answer here is negative 4. Now we are ready to apply that concept to bigger integers. So let's try it. Suppose we have positive 210 plus negative 30. So our 210 is positive because we don't see a negative sign, right? And this one is a negative. So we have 210 and 30 as our absolute values. So look for or solve the difference between them. So 210, the bigger one, minus the smaller one, 30, is 180. Right? So what is the sign of this 180? So go back to the given. So the 210 is bigger than the 30, right? And its sign is a positive. So our answer, 180, is positive. Another example, we have 65 plus a negative 90. So again, 65 is positive, right? And 90 is negative. So we are adding different signed integers. So we get the absolute values, 65 and 90, and get the difference between the two. So 90, the bigger one, minus 65 is equal to 25. Now, what is the sign of this 25? So let's go back to the given. So the 90 is the one bigger than 65, right? If we talk about their absolute values. And the sign of 90 here is negative. So our final answer is negative. Now, before we go to subtraction of integers, let's first have a recap of addition of integers. So, how do we add positive integers? We will just do normal addition and the sign of the sum is still positive. Then, how do we add negative integers? We will also just do normal addition and the sum this time is negative. And lastly, how do we add different sign integers? Yes, we apply subtraction on the absolute values and then copy the sign of the bigger absolute value. All of these could help us do subtraction of integers easily. For our first example on subtraction of integers, let us take negative 2 minus 7. Let's locate negative 2 and then it says minus 7. When we add 7, we will take steps to the right? But it says minus 7. So instead of going to the right, we will get to the left. So we have 7 steps to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Land to negative. Next example, negative 5 minus 5. So negative 5 and it says minus 5. So instead of going to the right again, it says minus, we go to the left. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then our answer is negative 10. Next we have 8 minus negative 2. So we have the 8 and it says minus negative 2. If we add negative 2, we will go 2 steps to the left, right? But it says minus, so we go the opposite direction. So instead of going 2 steps to the left, we go 2 steps to the right. 1, 2. So 8 minus negative 2 is a 10. So, do you see the pattern now? Here we have 5 minus negative 4. Start with 5. And if we add negative 4, we will take 4 steps to the left. But we will subtract negative 4. So, we take 4 steps to the right instead. We oppose. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, the answer is a 9. Next, we have negative 3 minus negative 8. So, we start with negative 3. And we have minus negative 8. So, negative 8 is to the left, right? But it says minus. So, we go 8 steps to the right instead. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So, we land to the answer 5. And for our last example, negative 6 minus 3. So, negative 6 minus 3. So, we go 3 steps to the left. So, we have 1, 2, 3. So, our answer is a negative 9. Now, let's have a recap of our example so that in a while we can come up with conclusions on how we do subtraction of integers. So in this first one, negative 2 minus 7 is negative 9. It's like we added negative 2 and negative 7, right? It's because the sign minus could be the sign of our 7 here, the one that follows the minus sign. So it's like adding negative 2 and negative 7. And we have learned earlier that when we add 2 negative numbers, just do normal addition and our sum will be negative. Same with our next example. So this could be a combination, or if we add negative 5 and a negative 5 and we get negative 10. And for this one, for this 8 minus negative 2, how did it become 10? So it's like we added 8 and a positive 2, right? To make it 10. And that's right. When you see a minus followed by a negative sign, okay, we can make this addition. So it's like 8 plus 2, which is obviously 10. And same with this next example. So 5 minus negative, so as you can see, 5 minus negative 4 is 9, right? So it's like minus negative becomes plus. So we have 5 plus 4 instead. So we get a positive 9. So we can also apply that concept to this next example. We have negative and a minus sign. So if we make that positive, it's like adding negative 3 and a positive 8. So what do we know about adding different sign integers? So we apply subtraction of the absolute values, right? So it's like 8 minus 3 is a 5. And based on our given, the 8 here, the absolute value 8 is bigger than the absolute value 3. And it is positive here. So we take the positive side of our final answer. And lastly, this is similar to the first two here. So it's like negative 6 added to negative 3. So it's like adding two negative numbers. So we just do normal addition and the sign is negative. Now we are ready to apply those concepts to subtraction of bigger integers. Let us consider the following examples. You may pause this video and answer them yourselves before you start the video again and see if you got the same answers. So for the first one here, this minus negative become plus. So we have 100 plus 50 instead, which is equal to 150. And then for our next example, this could be considered as negative 25 plus a negative 77. So we are adding two negative integers. So the answer is a negative. So just do normal addition. We have 102, negative 102 as our answer here. Okay, for the third one, again, minus negative. So we make them plus. So it's negative 40 plus a 90. So we are adding different sign integers. So apply subtraction on the absolute values. That means 90, the bigger one, minus the smaller one, 40, is a 50, right? But what is the sign? So the 90, absolute value 90, is bigger than the absolute value 40, and it is positive. So our answer is positive 50. By the way, when I write positive, it's the same as not writing anything, just a 50. Okay? If you don't see a negative sign, automatically it means positive. And for the last one, since we have negative 500 minus 20, it's the same as writing negative 500 plus a negative 20. And this time we are adding two negative numbers. So just do normal addition. That will be 520, right? And this sum should be negative. That's it. So learners, what would you like to learn next? Comment below.